In the Real Love Correctional Program, we have the opportunity, the privilege really, to make a positive contribution in the lives of a number of men and women in a variety of ways. The other day I was working with a man on parole, we'll call him Sean, who is in the process of finding an apartment. He went to a large realty company in town that manages quite a number of apartments, and he discovered that in all capital letters they stated rather categorically that they do not rent any properties to convicted felons. Now, I recognize that they have every right to restrict who they will rent to. Their apartments are theirs, so they can do as they wish. Sean's parole, however, requires that he live in a part of town where this realtor controls most of the apartments. So I thought I'd go down there and put in a good word for him. Perhaps if they understood his situation, they could see that he posed no greater risk than anyone else. I explained the situation to the lady who normally handles the rentals. I said that I met with Sean regularly in counseling, and that in his particular situation, his behavior was almost guaranteed to be better than their average renter, or he'd be sent back to prison, which he was strongly motivated to avoid. I also explained that for the past 8 months, he'd been living on my property, living around my grandchildren, so I could vouch for him with some degree of authority. Her response, "I'm sorry, but that's our policy." Okay, I learned simply that she had no authority in this matter, so there was no sense speaking to her anymore. I asked to speak to her supervisor, which I did. I explained Sean's situation again and again. She said, "I'm sorry, but that's our policy." Now here it was a little fuzzier. Did she have the authority to bend the policy or not? I didn't know, so I asked to speak to her supervisor, who wasn't in. She assured me that he, the president of the company, would call me when he returned. Somewhat to my surprise, he did call. I explained the situation again, and he responded, surprised, "I'm sorry, but that's our policy." He said, if we made an exception in his case, then we'd have to think about other cases. He actually said that. We'd have to think about other cases. Now, again, I acknowledge that this company has the right to set any policy they wish. But remember that the last man I talked to was not a lower-level functionary paralyzed by a policy he couldn't bend. He was inflexibly repeating a policy that was his to enforce or dispose of as he wished. He actually said so himself. Such decisions are made every day by the millions, by men and women like this one, and by ourselves. And we can profit by examining the implications of them. And we'll do that in our next session.